Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Anna and I have a toddler girl. I was going to say baby girl. She is 2.5 years old, and yes, it's true, I'm pregnant with baby number 2. And today's video is going to be all of the symptoms that I felt in the first trimester, no, in the 2-week wait window leading up to my positive test. I finally feel good enough to film, but before I begin, I do want to touch upon how sensitive this topic is, and I don't take it lightly. I know that for some people, this is a torture. Some people are super depressed and can't get pregnant and are having fertility issues, and my heart reaches out to you, and I'm sending you all of my love and all of my prayers for you, to get that. If you really want to be a mom, I know it might not happen maybe the way you'd like it to, but if you really want to be a mom, you can be a mom. So stay strong. And I hope this video sheds some light into your life and helps you with, your next fertility cycle to see what kind of symptoms you have. And if anything matches to what, you feel that I tell you about, let me know in the comments below. Okay, so let's get started. I usually use the same app. It's called PC. I track my period on my phone. So I'm going to have it up here somewhere on the screen. Let's go ahead and open it up. I do have to say, though, with my period, it is super regular. I get it every 28 days, and that's how I was easily able to see, my highest day of ovulation, my lowest day of ovulation. So if you're like that, I guess you're lucky because it's easier to plan pregnancy. But let's track back to July. So we did the deed on June 31st. And for me, I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm just really in tune with my body, but I start to feel pregnancy symptoms or just symptoms in general the next day. I don't know why I'm sensitive like this. Not everyone is like this, and I've had people bash my other video, my first pregnancy video, my first 2-week wait video, saying that, the symptoms I was feeling the first couple of days wasn't related to that. But personally, in my body, now that I've done it a second time around, something's going on, and I know something's going on, and I just had a feeling that it worked because, there's things that happen that I don't normally do. So let me share with you. So the very next day in my notes, I have here midday pulling on my bra, very light fullness and tenderness in my breast. So what that means is I was feeling like this kind of light tugging, like someone is kind of tugging at my ovaries. And then a very light tenderness to my breasts. I usually don't have tenderness in my breasts on a normal day. I mean, I just never have that. So that's something I felt. And then I had tiny, tiny bouts of nausea, very sparsely throughout the day. So it was just like little waves throughout the day. And then some weird thing I felt was bubbling in my ovary areas. So where my ovaries are, kind of in that low section, I felt kind of like a bubbling. I sometimes get this when I'm on my period. So that was the one thing that I was like, oh, am I getting my period, or is this like a symptom? But that's something that I felt. The next day, July 2nd, it says here that during the day I was changing, and I noticed when I took off my bra, my breasts seemed to have grown a tiny bit. They felt more full. Yeah, so this is something else. My breasts usually don't grow on a normal basis. They stay the same size. And on that day, they felt a little bit more like heavy, full in my hands. And I don't know if it's because I felt them because I felt they were also tender, but that's what I felt. And then it says here that at night, after putting Alessia down to sleep, I got an extreme desire to eat and stuffed myself with cheese and potato salad. And I usually don't have this type of hunger. I couldn't contain myself. Let's just say that. It was so intense. And yeah, usually if I'm hungry at night, I can just have a little snack and be okay. But I remember I was so hungry, and when I ate it, I just felt so satisfied. It was such a weird feeling, something really different than, normal. Twice in that day, I felt an extremely light cramping in my lower abdomen. So as if it's you're about to get your period. Is very, very, very subtle. On July 3rd, it says that very odd extreme hunger and terrible headache. I don't know if the headache, is linked to that, or it's because I was hungry. Sometimes when I'm hungry, I get a headache. So I don't know if the headache is with that, but the extreme hunger was definitely probably pregnancy related, because I don't wake up extremely hungry. I wake up okay. And then the weird part is that when I ate, I didn't feel satisfied. I felt like I had to eat 3 different types of things to satisfy me, and still I didn't really feel full. And it says here, I had eggs and sausage, half a piece of toast with cheese and prosciutto, a small bowl of meat sauce pasta, and then I was finally full. So, and after having all that food, I felt a little bit nauseous as well. So there you have it. That's July 3rd. I also had little spikes of nausea throughout the day. I felt my lower abdomen felt off, again, like very, very, very light cramping. July 4th, it says here that it is so hard to wake up. In the morning, I felt super tired. And it says here, I'm not sure if it's the pills I'm taking. So unfortunately, I developed some kind of chronic urticaria, it's called medically. It's when you get hives randomly, your body just reacts, like gets an allergic reaction. This happened back in last April. And I saw some allergists. We did like all the testing. Anyway, long story short, if you guys want more information on that, comment down below. But basically, they prescribed me pills. What are they called? Zyrtec? Yeah, Zyrtec or cetirizine. So I'm taking that. And it's meant to make you, like, it's a drowsy-ish kind. It's not, like, supposed to be drowsy, but they say it can make you a little bit sleepy. So it says here that I'm not sure if it's the pills affecting me or if it's that. So then I say that I'm sporadically nauseous. Eating bread helps. If I get hungry, I get nauseous. So funny enough, when I was pregnant with Alessia, eating bread really helped me not feel nauseous as well. And then on that same day, from around 11 to 1, I felt pretty significant period cramping, as if I'm about to start my period. Oh, and then it says here that it's almost as if it's like day 1 period. So, something's working down there, and I don't know if I'm about to get my period or I'm about to get a positive test back then. But the hunger for sure gives it away. But then again, I don't know, because sometimes I'm hungry before my period too, but not 2 weeks before my period. I'm usually hungry like 3 days before my period. So I usually have a pretty strong sense of smell, but for some reason, strong smells making me so nauseous. My dad had like cleaned his car with some carpet cleaner, and it made me so nauseous. And I was like, this isn't normal. This isn't right. And I think I also forgot to mention that I was actually in Canada. On the 1st, Alessia and I, we flew to Canada to visit my parents and see some family and friends. And so the back of my mind, I was like, am I feeling some of these things because of like the stress and the flight, like flying with a toddler, had to like entertain her and all this stuff. And maybe that's why I was hungry. But then later that day, I was getting a pedicure and I felt like I might throw up from all the smells. And this is super unusual for me. So usually, I don't know, oddly enough, usually I like the smell of the acrylic that they use, like that strong smell. So it usually doesn't make me sick. I'm okay with it. So July 5th, I don't have anything. And I think that's because genuinely, like, I didn't feel anything significant enough. But then on July 6th, I have only 1 moment of nausea in the morning, a little bit of discharge down there in the morning. So then this is a big one. That was also something that happened with Alessia. I was having a chat with my mom in the evening before bed, and the topic was about kids growing up and how they become teens and it's harder to keep them safe, and then they find their own way. And honestly, guys, I don't know what came over me, but I just could not hold back my tears because I was so sad imagining Alessia like being a teenager, like not listening to me. And I don't know, for some reason, I got so low in my head, like thinking that, like when I was talking to her, I just started imagining that I'm not going to be close with Alessia anymore because, teens don't listen. And it just made me so sad. And I was like so overwhelmed that I was like crying, but I wasn't just crying. I was literally like hysterical. And this happened as well when I was pregnant with Alessia. My husband was watching Suits, and I don't think I was caught up. I wasn't watching it at all. I don't remember, but I don't think I was caught up. And all of a sudden, I sat down for the finale, and they made it so touching. They made it so good. And for some reason, I was bawling. Like, I didn't even know too much about the characters. I wasn't really involved in watching the show until I did later on. I know it's a good show. I missed out a lot, but then I watched it later. But I'm saying, like, when I was watching this finale, I didn't really know much about it, and I was like hysterical. I was like, you can see my first 2-week wait video, and I actually mentioned that. So that's funny that happens in both pregnancies for me. Okay, and then July 7th, it says here, very minimal symptoms, very little discharge, feeling an overwhelmed, heightened sense in smell, super sensitivity to different fragrances. Oh my gosh, cleaning out my toddler's poop. I do not recommend getting pregnant when you have a toddler that you have to change diapers for. That was really hard. Like, I was about to throw up so many times throughout my whole first trimester. Oh my God, it was so bad. And then like when we entered the mall, I was like blown away how many smells I can smell. Like usually you don't, focus on like all the smells you can smell. But all of a sudden I was walking into, rooms or malls or places where I'm like, wow, I can like really smell the smells in here. And then I also had a little bit of lower back pain, and I felt like I always needed to like stretch my back out. So then July 8th, it says lower back pain, feel the need to stretch it out. I remember that actually. It was like weird because I don't remember why my back would hurt so much. July 9th. So this also happened with Alessia a couple of times. I woke up without an alarm. Usually it's very odd for me. Usually I need an alarm. I need to be woken up. And July 9th, I just wake up on my own. So no real obvious signs during the day, but I took a test that day. And for some reason, I forgot to wait for it to go. I don't know. I think I didn't wait enough. But anyways, it was negative. But yeah, I was pretty far away from like it actually probably conceiving. So anyway, my HCG was probably way too low. And so then near the end of the day, I was super hungry and kind of nauseous from being hungry. And then I probably just ate something, like eating something small like bread or a snack, crackers usually helps me. And then at night, when I took off my bra to shower, I noticed my breast felt heavier in a way and way fuller than before. And then it says here, at about 12 p.m., laying in my bed on my back, I felt something in my lower abdomen area like a tender pulling. So again, I felt like a pulling at my ovaries. So July 10th, this happens again. I wake up without an alarm again. It says if I drive, I can feel a backache. Not sure if it's from lifting my toddler or like a symptom, because obviously I have to lift my toddler still. While driving at 2 p.m., very light period pain. From 3 p.m. onwards, lower abdomen light cramping. And on July 11th, 12th, and 13th, there's nothing. And I can't recall if it's because, you know, the symptoms kind of just dissipated, or I was so active and busy like packing and going back home to Florida, maybe I didn't notice. But when I did arrive on the 14th, I had more pregnancy tests at home. And so I decided to test again, and I did. I tested like at night before I went to sleep, and I did get a very faint positive. So all of those symptoms confirmed that I was pregnant. So I'm glad I didn't go crazy, because some days I was like, man, why am I smelling everything? Like, is something wrong with me? What are these changes? But yeah, that's pretty much it for my 2-week wait window. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you have something similar, like the crying, I just found so bizarre that huge explosion of emotion and like the crying that I got both pregnancies. That was kind of crazy to see, you know, that comparison. If there's anything that is similar to you, let me know in the comments below. I want to know your experience, and I'm wishing everyone all the fairy pregnancy deaths. I hope you guys, you know, get your positives and things work out for you. On that note, that is it for today's video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead. I'd love for you to join the family. And on that note, don't forget to always be yourself, be selfless, and never settle for less. Bye.